the suppression of the use of marijuana and of the forces lurking behind it are the most important jobs this department is now engaged in. In 1930, the records on marijuana in the Washington office of the Narcotics Division scarcely filled a small folder like this. Today, they fill cabinets.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, Coloradians, and everyone that's smart enough to listen from the outside.
It's one of the most amazing plants we've ever discovered.
The pot party, the trippers, the grasshoppers, the hip ones, all gathered in secrecy and flying high as a kite.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another week of Stoned Appetit with your host. As always, it's the moron himself, Kip Wilson. And to my left, I got my boy CP. What up, my BFF? How are you today?
Oh, I'm doing great. Got off a really good weekend. Finally, made it up to the mountains and got in a good skiing sesh.
Oh, nice.
And I'll also report that I actually had some really decent French fries while up there on the mountain.
We'll talk more about Chris's mountain reviews, traffic, snacks, cost of cocktails in the new bar at the top of the left, and more. But before that, let's check in with Queen Evatha on the ones and twos. How are you, sister?
I'm fantastic.
Yeah, fantastic, Chris. And she's smiling a little bit. I think she's coming around on us. It only took like 10 months, but she warms up much like all of my ex-girlfriends. Very long. Takes forever.
She's just excited because it's the national championship game.
She's a big husky.
Is it? I was excited we're all just wearing knit hats.
That is also, in the words of Jack Black, we are the same height. That is neat. That's actually not Jack Black. It's the other dude from the movie Orange County.
Wow, deep cut.
We're here for all things cultural. We've got a great episode. We're going to talk about some viral videos from our home peoples, Mississippi State alums getting stuck in sticky situations, some of Chris's people going naked into lakes and pools in public, and a whole heap more, including our first rendition of Reverse Yelp. Assholes in the community, it's time to fight fire with fire. Hospitality workers, y'all are going to love this segment. And before we get out of here, I need some tips for Tacoma. I'm not going to the parade, but maybe I am. That and more right after this. Hey guys, are y'all looking for health insurance? There's 1 week left for you to sign up through connectforhealthco.com. That's Connect for Health, Colorado's open exchange for health insurance. I tried to do it all peachy and I messed it up. But in all seriousness, we talk about it every single week. Y'all have got to make sure you're insured. There's so many different situations. It's also better to be proactive than reactive. Don't find yourself in a sticky situation because you opted for the cheap plan through work. Maybe you turned it down. Maybe your company didn't offer you a proper plan. Maybe you're between gigs or your partner is, I guess, in charge of the insurance and you don't like the plan you have. There's literally something for everyone. No matter your finances, no matter your employment situation, go over to connectforhealthco.com. You have 1 more week. I implore you, please do not go without. I've worked in healthcare and in medical insurance for 10 fucking years. Don't go without. It will ruin your life. You'll never get out of that crippling debt. I'm still paying it off and I had insurance. So imagine not having it. Don't want to be in that situation. They have specialists that are ready and available, dedicated to handle your case. You can schedule times to speak with them by going to connectforhealthco.com. Woo! That wasn't bad.
Nice.
No.
Sprinkling testimonials. I tried to do it like a real, there was a break.
You're a real chipper there.
Yeah,
in
it was
the
a break.
beginning.
I'm really fired up. Like Chris said, you're excited about the football game. I am too. Also, we've been doing some taste testing on edible products today, and I am fucking high as a Georgia pine. So, Chris, let's dive into your weekend first, and I'm going to take a little breather and drink some grapefruit juice.
Okay.
Mountain traffic bad?
Bearable.
Wait, which mountain did you go to?
So, first off, we went to Copper.
Okay.
So, it's a fun mountain, easy to get to. The traffic, I would have to say, was bearable. Obviously, when you drive up there, you just think oh, fucking Christ.
What time did you leave? I feel like that's the game nowadays. 6 a.m. is almost too late.
My mistake was I didn't have the car gassed and ready.
Oh, you fucking rookie.
To get gas before we made it,
I had lost my shit.
So by the time we really got on the road, it was 6:30. So, you know.
You call a little bit of that just the
If you want to leave earlier, the only downside, though, is if you leave super early and avoid that traffic.
You're sitting in the lot.
You just get back to the mountain and you just sit there until it opens.
I'm not a first chair guy. Everyone knows that. I am a guy that likes to sit and hot box the car while we wait in the warm. But you're exactly right. You're damned if you do, damned if you don't. You're going to be waiting somewhere. Would you rather be playing with your pickle in traffic or in the parking lot?
In traffic.
So people can watch.
Yeah. So they can get good glances. So anyways, though, I mean, by the time we got up there, we got up into the parking lot around 8:45. So perfect timing just to get this shit done, head to the mountain. But, you know, the roads were a little dicey, so slow and steady wins the race. But anyways, when we got there, gorgeous day, great skiing. But the real kicker of this is Copper Mountain just opened their new mountain lodge, like at the top of one of these lifts.
You said that really fancy, like, too, by the way, lodge.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like a lodge.
Nice.
But anyway, it's got incredible views. It's set up really nice. They have, like, I'm not one to spend a bunch of money on buying food at resorts. But, you know, snacks here and there are good. And we got these crinkle cut French fries. And they were spectacular.
Interesting.
They were beefy. They were seasoned well. And for $7, like, as a little snack, like, you could.
Was it a good portion?
Not breaking the bank, but potatoes for $7 is a ball busting.
Yeah. Or you could go with chicken tendies for $18. So
Holy shit.
We opted for the $7 French fries, which.
A good portion, though?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was a hell of a portion.
Okay.
It sounds a little too potato-y. Can I get your top 3 French fries? Does crinkle cut usually land in the top 3?
Never for me.
Some of big ones with a little bit of ridges in them.
Charlie Brown shirt?
I love it. I like shoestring fries, and then I would say crinkle cut, and then I would say maybe steak fries.
Okay, so
Wow.
you like more out of that pantheon. It shows that you're kind of you like more potato to crunch ratio. I'm surprised.
Shoestring fries.
I know are the outlier there, especially if those are your number one. For you to have 2 and 3 in such a different vein. I mean, I can understand it, but continue on about these specific ones because I'm going to get a score at the end too. I just wanted to know your top 3.
Yeah, no, I think crinkle cut fries have a good crisp ratio to them. I think like on those ends where they're kind of thinner, you get that crunch. And then some of the ridges get a little
crispier in themselves.
Yeah.
What was the cook like on this? Is this a fresh batch or is this more of like a Cisco bag?
No, this felt like a fresh batch.
Nice.
I mean, it probably was, frozen.
I mean, we could go 12 minutes on potatoes. I swear to God, we could do it every week. I love it.
So I mean, it was good because you had the crunch on the outside and then you had a little bit of fluffiness on the inside. So anyways, it was the perfect serving size so you aren't just like overwhelmed and like can't move on the mountain. You don't want to gorge yourself. But then they had really approachable beer prices, kind of like what you would find anywhere, and they had some really fucking good specialty cocktails. So I don't know if you're a fan. Like, I'm not the biggest fan of like flavored liquors and stuff, but there's this one drink that had peanut butter flavored whiskey.
Yeah.
In it.
Mr. Beast has something like that.
Dude, it was called the peanut butter cup, and it was peanut butter flavored whiskey with hot chocolate.
I don't hate that, Chris.
And it fucking slapped.
We're gonna have to get
a little chocolate covered pretzel.
Let's get Jake and
Did you take
Mr.
a pic?
Beast has.
No, he didn't. Fucking Kip. He didn't take another fucking pic
cut
of
all
this
this out.
amazing cocktail, so none of us can see it. How?
I mean,
Gatekeeping. You're gatekeeping.
It wasn't a pretty looking cocktail. It was just a thing of hot chocolate.
How convenient.
I mean, you're going
Real fucking nice.
Pictures from your weekend adventures.
You want to see some of my cats? That was my adventure.
Shout out to
I'll send
Luna
them
and
to you.
Bear, avid listeners of the pod.
Anyways,
Rate the fries, rate the cocktail. Give us the weekend or the Copper Mountain recap score.
I would say fries were a solid 8.
Are you just doing solid numbers? What are we in middle school? Give me a decimal in there.
8.4.
There we go. There's so many potatoes out there. Fucking 8.
The cocktail being,
Not pictured.
cold and being
It's a perfect Apri?
Probably a 9.2.
Okay. And then
You had a bit of sweetness, and you had like a little bit of oomph from the whiskey.
So it was served cold? That's what you said?
Hot.
Oh, I thought you said it was served cold, and I was
he
like,
said
that's
on
weird.
like when it's cold, like
Oh,
outside.
okay.
I was wondering that at
like,
first
that's
too.
weird.
But a hot chocolate with like a kind of a savory whiskey flavor that brings a little, kind of cuts through some of the whiskey, but also dilutes it so it's not too overtly sweet. I like it. Chris, give us a Copper Mountain recap score before we dive into Eve's Badass Weekend.
I would say Copper Mountain scored a, let's go 8.7 on overall
Experience?
skiing this weekend. Good snow.
The snow's been kind of hit or miss thus far this season, so if you found a good day, I love to hear it.
Yeah.
Steamboat's been getting railed as well. Y'all are headed up there in a couple of weeks. We'll get a snow report back when you come from that as well.
Yeah, and hopefully I can convince some of the crew to like, hey, let's go out for a solid dinner one night in Steamboat, and then we'll report back on that.
I like where
And
you're.
I'll grab pictures.
I like where your head's at. It would be really cool. Let's not hold our breath on that, Eve.
I won't.
I'll let you pass if you want to pass.
I'll pass.
All right. So my weekend, I was actually pretty calm too. I got to go check out the new Wax Trax location on South Broadway. It shares a building with Vintage Threads as well. If you're a female listening to this and you fancy yourself consignment stores, this new one that's connected to Wax Trax right there on South Broadway, right kind of where the Cucina used to be down there, where the illegal pizzas and all that. It's like right on that same strip. It's a nice digs. Good spread, a lot of leather that's actually on sale this week. And then Wax Trax has I enjoy shopping there. They're great people. They have a hilariously wonderful selection. I got a Top Gun soundtrack. I got a Greta Van Fleet album. And I got a Huey Lewis and the News album. That's a good...
Lewis in the News, that's a good one.
Thank you. I agree. And of course, the Top Gun soundtrack is too, because it's piping hot heat from the 80s. And I mean, if you like to play volleyball or watch people play volleyball with their shirts off and jeans, it's a very practical outfit. Don't throw any questions. This is the album for you, Chris. You would love it. And if you like, shout out Kelly McGillis, silhouette porn, this is also the album for you. But nonetheless, that's about to the extent of my weekend. Besides that, I also went and tried out Little Arthur's Hoagies breakfast. So Little Arthur Hoagies, everybody knows them for their dank-ass but expensive sandwiches. They're fucking worth it. Well, what you're going to start seeing is he has his new truck that is open. It's called Artie's Express, and he's going to be posting up around town, whether it's breweries, similar to what Penelope and Knockers used to do with Yuan Wonton. But he's going to generate a buzz and a crowd everywhere he goes. This dumb fuck right here, sorry about that. Maybe we edit out that hard F right there for the people that have kids in the car. But this dumb fuck sat in, earmuffs, sat inside Novel Strand having a cup of coffee, laughing with some friends and I was like, oh, there maybe is a line forming. And I was there early enough because I'm a punctual being. Everywhere I go, I'm on Coughlin time. So I was there. I could have been the first one in line. My dumbass was just goof trooping. I ended up being like 22nd in line. It took an hour and a half. All in all, it was worth every single minute. So he's still working it out. This was his first time ever doing breakfast, and he had a way too big of a menu, and boy, was I excited he did. I got one of everything that was available by the time it became my window, but like I missed out on the Pit Fiend brisket sandwich. I know, right? It would have been so great, but that's what I get for sitting on my hands. I could have been the first in line and been home, eating and taking pictures of my food like some folks do, and in my underwear. I could have been happy as a clam, but I fucked up, and it was still worth it, every bit of it.
See, but the thing is that I like to hear about that is like you didn't complain about time because first of all, we don't do that. That's not how we approach our friends. But at the same time, like I hope people have an understanding that sometimes with new ventures and things like that, as they're doing it, you got to realize like you can't just like practice this all of a sudden.
Be like, expect this to be like a smooth,
right.
like, and he'll have it dialed in. And even like, I think he just had a lot going on the menu.
Yeah.
Like, if he was just doing bacon, egg, and cheese, which by the way, Chris, they were so fucking delicious.
The bun looked delicious.
Oh my God, those Kaisers. I mean, I don't like anything about the Reich, but they did something right with those Kaisers. But either way, this sandwich was immaculate. And then there was a turkey sandwich. So he had like a breakfast lunch combo platter. The lunch ones, I mean, you have to do the snake bite, unlock the jaw, or you could nibble and squirrel.
Yeah.
Whatever method you like to tackle the big hoag, you're going to need it for some of these sandwiches that he does from the truck as well. I mean, he's piling them high like it's fucking New York or Philly like he is from. It's a great problem to have. It's a great problem to have. And then there was also one with a Parmesan spread and prosciutto with almond and honey, so it had some crunch from the almonds, also on a dank-ass roll. Chris, it was like a cream cheese had sex with Parmesan and cummed out this perfect little baby. It was awesome. And it was like, it wasn't too like stodgy where like it cakes in your mouth where you just feel like you're eating a lot of cream cheese to bread to prosciutto ratio. It has that sharpness from the Parmesan, and then the almonds kind of help with the texture. That's my I'm roused laugh. It was awesome, Chris.
Biologically, what he just described, it's true. That's how those things work.
Yeah. So that was all I did.
God.
That was so I can't throw shade at anybody that didn't get too crazy. We're in that lull period. Like some folks are pretending to do dry January. Shout out to Chris and Kip. But most folks are still kind of trying to watch their pocketbook and not just go blow their load on any random Saturday night after coming off a long, double holiday and things. So like this is a great way to treat yourself without going crazy or feeling like you're about to run up a bar tab. Just go get yourself a fancy little breakfast. Yeah. Get Wright's is in that camp. Bodega, which we love. It's in the same price point, about $14. And you can get a beer from Novel Strand if you want one. So it's pretty awesome. I want everyone that's listening to this in Colorado, be on high alert for Artie Express food truck. It's something to behold. You need to get an article about it quick.
Yeah,
I'll get you in.
Speaking of good bites, one thing I have on the docket this week to explore, and I'll report back, I've got to get over to Bird Call.
Oh, the Yuan Wonton session.
Yesterday, I had every intention to, but we audibled and did like something else for dinner. So this week, that's going to be one of I think I'm going to put in a long office day, and that's where I'm going to go to after that.
It is so good. Eve, I want you to go try this. The spice level's not overwhelming, and then they have this like, it's almost like a charred scallion mayo that kind of helps cut it, but it's got like smokiness, so it doesn't just taste like basic Betty mayo. And then there's like a coleslaw with like thick crunch, like rough cut. It's also good. You didn't notice I cut it off right there? It wasn't as long as the last sandwich. It's good. It's real good, but it doesn't deserve the 7 holes.
And it's
Okay.
a good cost.
Oh, yeah, and $1 from every sandwich sold goes to the World's Central Kitchen. Shout out to Chef Jose Andreas. We look forward to having you on the podcast.
That's a whale.
That one should be one of our top 3 whales. And maybe we'll find him in the mountains of Colorado this year, because if you're listening to this right now, we would be remiss if we didn't tell you that on January 18th, tickets go on sale for the 41st annual Food and Wine Classic in Aspen, Colorado. They have day passes, 3-day passes, whatever you may want. But if you saw my videos and you remember this recap from last year, it was the greatest experience in my life. It was like if I love the Masters because I love golf. I love Disney World because I'm a child on the inside. This was better than all of those combined, because everywhere you turn, it's something cool. It's somebody you've seen on television is whopping up some dank-ass ribs. It's your friends from the local hospitality scene that are they have lines wrapped around the building because the word is out. All that and unlimited caviar and wine. It's just the greatest thing ever. January 18th, they go on sale. Food and Wine Classic in Aspen. Come join us.
And also, pro tip, for those that don't really, it's an expensive affair to go to. And for those who aren't looking to maybe break the bank on that, but want to be involved some way, a great opportunity is check out their website and go to volunteer information. Because that's the only way I've been to it before. I signed up to volunteer one year, and I volunteered for a day, and then the next day you have a free pass. So you go up there for the weekend, volunteer one day, help out. It's pretty basic, and then the next day it's a free-for-all.
And the best part, and we talked about it, is while the grand tasting is magnificent because it's quite literally caviar and wines from all over the world. Hell, they had a fucking tent just dedicated to Spain last year. It was just ham and paella as far as the eye could see. I was happier than a pig in shit. But if you're volunteering for a day to get that free pass, you're still done at a reasonable hour that you can go to all of those side parties that I mentioned. Like there's those other parties. You can find them both on Eventbrite. You can find them through attending the event and chatting with folks. There's quite literally pop-ups in every bar and restaurant. So as soon as you get, like, there was an axe throwing and dry white wine and caviar thing, and I bumped into Bobby fucking Flay. And we're just sitting there having a glass of wine, eating caviar, and people are chunking axes at a wall. It's that. Like, you can just walk up on badass parties. So just if you give yourself a reason to be up there, whether you're volunteering or you're like, I can treat myself for one day, and maybe I'm not going Sunday, I'm just going Saturday, or I'm just going Sunday. Come up early and ingratiate yourself with the community, because the fucking parties it's the greatest week ever. Get the tickets if you can, and if it's not in your wheelhouse, check out the volunteer page as well, because I mean, they're all just people like we're all friends with. Like, I saw tons of people that we know that were up there. So It's not strenuous at all. It's a lot of fun.
No, and you can make like a fucking camping weekend out of it. It's a beautiful time of year to be up there.
It's great. All right, so Eve, now that we've gone from local to national conversations, I think we should talk about some national news. What do you think?
Sounds great.
All right, there's 3 stories that have gone viral. I'm going to start with Chris, and then I'm going to work with you. You're doing Indianapolis. You've got Bass Pro. I'll take the stupid fuck in the urn. Chris, what is going on in Leeds, Alabama? For those that haven't seen, there's a guy with a micro penis that's been skinny dipping in the Bass Pro shop, and he was yelling "Roll Tide, roll." I thought he was your cousin.
I don't think he yelled "Roll Tide, roll" to begin with.
He said it with his heart. You could tell.
War Eagle. Ain't nobody roll tide rolling with that small of a pecker. Anyways, though, I feel as wieners on the glass of the hell, we didn't even do that.
You talking about my boys? No, Coach, they're just kids. Hell, they're just kids.
No, I feel like when you do something like that, it's not, I don't think it's drugs that made you do it.
Wait, do you want to tell people what happened, or?
Yeah, so from what I learned from Mr. Kit sharing it with us, because he's got his finger on the pulse.
Criminally online, I think is the term.
Looking for peen.
So apparently a man walked into the Bass Pro Shops, probably expecting a lovely Saturday afternoon with the shopping.
Everyone else just looking for camo or things to hit their spouse with, and then here comes this guy.
Apparently this guy, so I guess he must have just taken off his clothes and decided to go for a little dip.
Yeah, for those, you can literally find it anywhere on the internet. And if your head is in a hole, you're next to Gypsy Rose's mother. But at the same time, shout out to all those other criminally online folks.
Just search
Bass Pro Shop guy.
Bass Pro Shops naked.
Or Bass Pro Shop guy is a safer way to do that without maybe raising some flags at the work computer or maybe setting off some situations at home. It's a preposterous video, and the guy definitely has a micro ween. Baby ween. It's a tough look. And I'll be honest, Chris, if you're that little, I don't think there's any business you should ever be skydiving. Or skydiving, skinny dipping, sorry. Both of which are rigorous, but at the same time, you shouldn't be skinny dipping or skydiving with that baby of a penis.
Also, I wonder, because I've been to, the infamous Bass Pro Shops, the Pyramid in Memphis, and they have those
You mean the ninth wonder of the world?
They have those ponds, stocked with some serious fish and maybe even some predators. I can't remember, but I think there's an alligator at the one in Memphis. So my question is, was this guy just not concerned with, and how cold is that water?
Well, by the reflection of his body, it's either very cold, but also that could have been a very big problem. A fish could have mistook that for just krill. Krill could have grabbed that little fucker and ruined his day. But I mean, Eve, what are your thoughts? Have you ever been to a Bass Pro? Do you know anybody else from Alabama besides Chris and this guy?
Only you guys, and I've never been to a Bass
Pro. I'm not from
Pro.
Alabama, weirdo.
Well,
Oh my God!
Southern people.
Team outing. We're gonna go visit the Bass Pro Shop.
We're
Well,
going.
not if it's gonna. That happens all the time. No, thank you.
No, it's usually just like a 2A rally that's going on. This was just this was a one-off.
We are gonna all strip down and jump in.
Okay, great.
This was a one. Maybe if Alabama was in the national championship tonight, Chris would do it. But that wasn't the only viral video from Birmingham, Alabama this weekend. There was a guy that also got stuck in an urn. Chris, if y'all haven't seen this video, just Google tool shed in an urn. No. It's a guy who thought he could get in one of those big outdoor planters, and he got his body in there while drinking with his buddies, and then he got stuck. To the tune of like 7 or 10 million folks have been watching this video online, and it's just him freaking out. He's like, I took off my belt and I took off my pants. What else can I do? And that one is white trash from Mississippi. But at the same time, shout out to all the Bulldog faithful out there when that name went out viral and they're like, this is the guy. And it's like educated by Mississippi State. It's like, oh, fuck. I was like, I can't catch a break.
I mean, I can see like
a good challenge.
Like, oh, look at this urn, I'll get in it, being fun and stupid. But also, I just don't see how, like, why didn't you just fucking break the thing up?
Tip over like Humpty Dumpty. Why did you wait for someone to come crack it open with a chisel and a baby hammer? Either way, he looked like a fool inside the urn, and now he's having a save face. Let me ask you, if you went viral for the wrong reasons, all sorts of possibilities here, Chris, but they say you never want to be the main character on the internet, and it changes every day. If you were in a situation that wasn't as embarrassing as Bass Pro, but you were somewhere in that, oh, I made a fool of myself and everyone's laughing at me for whatever cause, how would you handle that? Would you lean into it, or would you just like go radio silent, privatize everything, and just try to like keep your head down?
I think you gotta lean into it. Like if I was stuck in the urn, I would probably do an offer up face interviews. Like, so guys, my initial thoughts were, oh, I bet I could fit this urn, and then things went downhill from there. But I would be open about it, like it was a learning experience.
Be like, and I mean, you feel like it's when the kid used to get their head stuck in the banister growing up, and the fire department had to come help. I don't know if that's just a Lady in the Tramp thing, but one time I handcuffed my brother to a bed, and then we didn't have the keys, so we had to call the non-emergency number. And when we got there, the cops came upstairs, and they were like, the fuck's this kid handcuffed to a bed for? And my parents were like, I swear to God, they found these handcuffs. They weren't ours. Like, we don't know what they were doing, but can you open this? But you have to lean into it. Yeah.
Where'd you find the handcuffs? Yeah.
I can't. No, they weren't. They were like legit, like police
Where'd you
key
find them?
handcuffs. I don't know.
So they have a universal key, right? Is
Yeah,
that a thing?
yeah.
So they just, but did they hang
were
around
like,
and
y'all
like?
are some weird fuckers over here in Mississippi. But it was me and my brother, and I was like dying laughing, and he was like kicking me. He's like, go get the key. I was like, we don't have a key. And so my parents had to call the non-emergency hotline or whatever.
Were they pissed?
My parents?
just
No,
annoyed?
I mean, they were trying not to laugh when the cops were there because it was like, look, we didn't mean to do this, but kids will be kids, and we're in a rural part of Mississippi. It's not like, oh,
Typical Tuesday.
This isn't New York City where it's like these people should be doing something else. Odds are these cops aren't doing fucking else.
No.
Especially, it was the 90s. It was different. Okay, Eve, you have the last viral story of the weekend. Talk to us.
Well, essentially, an entire wedding party just went to this coffee shop, held their ceremony inside without giving the coffee shop a heads up. No deposit, nothing. They had photos taken there. They literally did the ceremony in there while they were open, and people were like getting coffee.
And then they had the staff like
taking
to
coats
their
and shit.
things, and they were
Yeah.
like, "What the fuck is like?" We offer buyouts. Like,
Yeah,
what's
they
going on?
host. They are there to pay to host things like that, and
Yeah, why
they didn't
would
get
you-
paid.
Why would you have? Why like?
Well, they said they're right next to I guess they're next to like a place where a lot of people get married. So they're used to like some people coming in, but literally it was just like a bride and a groom, and they started saying their vows, and the shop was like, "What the fuck?" Yeah.
I mean, that whole thing just sounds terrible. Like,
Yeah,
who
I
wants to get
first
married in a coffee shop?
Right? Which I'm like, I need to see this coffee shop. I didn't look it up, but it must be beautiful because they do say they rent it out,
It
not
must
for
be
weddings, but for like engagements and stuff. But that's just so weird. I'd
What
want to
state
see the
did you
bride.
send her in?
Indianapolis.
I mean, you would think they would have done it at like a Cracker Barrel. If they're going to be in Indian, it's Indianapolis. It's casserole country. Like,
There's a General general store.
Yeah, but at the same time, you are right. We need to look up this location.
I need to see how, like, is it that pretty? Like,
That's the ultimate cunt move right there. I know I said I was going to stop saying it as much. I didn't say I was going to stop saying it. That's the ultimate. It's the perfect way to lead into reverse Yelp. But like, oh my fucking God. And then all you do is offer to give them $200.
yeah, the bride paid him $200, but the fee's $500.
The fee alone is $500 before anything
Yeah.
else.
So, like, what
Didn't pay the
is
staff
this?
because the staff was sort of waiting on them, I guess. They didn't get
They
any
were,
details.
and they apologized to their other like customers. They were like, "We're not really sure what's going on." So like their first comments on social media were like apologizing about this, and then the wedding couple, as obtuse as they may believe, they apparently handled it poorly, and they're like, "All right, we got to fucking clear the air here. These people are being mega C's, and they did, and it's gone viral. Like whatever you've got going on times 10.
How many people?
They didn't say, but they had guests too. It sounded like it was like a good chunk. I don't think it was like 100 people, obviously, but to me, I'd say at least 20. And they had a photographer
they
there.
brought a
Like
photographer
they didn't
in.
like try to hide it and do it
So
quick.
they had nothing else scheduled. Like they were
I
like,
guess.
"Hey guys, we're having a wedding. We're going to do it at a coffee shop."
I want to see the
Just
invitations.
start
I want to see if they actually had that on the invitations or something else happened.
I probably would RSVP no.
You see, it's at a coffee. No, if it was at a nice coffee shop, I'd be like, oh. But once I saw patrons on like their laptop and the one guy looking at porn, I'd be like, why the fuck are we getting married here? Like, why did I put on a dress?
Who do you know watching porn in a coffee shop besides Chris?
Chris. But
Everybody in Indianapolis.
if
that
I
doesn't
were
have
the
Wi-Fi.
coffee shop owner, I just would have turned up like the James Blunt really loud over their fucking ceremony.
You're beautiful.
And you have to listen to like the coffee grinding. Like, I don't fucking get it.
No, I don't get it at all.
And they said they tolerated it because they were just kind of in shock, and also they were busy like serving people, so like that's why they didn't like kick them out.
We need to get more deets on this because I need to see
That's
how
all it
big
says.
this
I mean,
space
maybe they'll-
is, how many
yeah.
people came in.
Maybe we'll get more, but that's just like the initial because they posted about it, and still the coffee shop owners sounded pretty chill about it. Like they were still like, "Hey,
They
please
kept
don't
their
do this."
composure.
Like
I
they were
would've been-
very fucking nice on their Instagram. I was like, wow, they like kept it classy. I would have been like, "Don't fucking do this," but they were just like, "Yeah, we didn't kick her out because we were kind of in shock and we didn't know what was going on," and then it just kind of turned into a thing. But I would have kicked them out.
Yeah.
I would have walked through the ceremony and be like, "What are you saying? No, money? Like what?" My customer's trying, like, I just would have, I don't know, ground beans or something the whole time. Because that's ridiculous.
I would have turned on something like Slipknot, Wait and Bleed. Like you were saying, James Blunt. That almost
I'm
sets
just
a
thinking
mood.
coffee shop music, that's all.
Oh
like,
yeah,
what's
I would
already
have
there.
shifted the gears. I'm like, oh, by the way, we're Rage Against the Machine afternoon.
That'd been
Oh,
good.
you didn't know that we do this every Saturday from 11 to 12:30?
Oh, I just would have been like, "Oh, all y'all are here. Well, we're just going to make everybody a soy milk latte and maybe upcharge."
They
but,
probably-
like, I just don't. Yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
Man,
You
I'm
think
glad
that-
I don't know people like that would just be like, "Hey, we're having our wedding at a coffee shop."
Chris, if you hate people, wait until this next segment. This next segment is presented to you by our friends at Starbuds. Starbuds has 26 plus locations. They're opening 2 new ones here in January. If you happen to live in the Greeley area, maybe you know some hospitality Karens. No matter the situation, there's no cause for that. And if you are, all you need is maybe a little bit of medicine, maybe a little chill pill or a chill edible or a chill smoke. Don't be a Yelper or maybe even a rogue, I don't know, wedding. Is that even eloping? Like, don't be an eloper. Yeah.
They called it a pop-up wedding. That's what the couple
Don't be
called
a
it.
pop-up wedding guest or proprietor. Make sure you treat hospitality workers with respect. And the best way to do that is always to make sure that you are a little bit elevated. And so go check out our friends over at Starbuds. All right, Eve, are you ready for this new segment?
Yep.
All right, give us the first story. So every week we're going to ask our friends from the hospitality and cannabis industry that have to deal with these same people we just spoke about. We want to hear stories that maybe either happened this week, that have happened last month, that happened last quarter. No matter where you work, we want to hear it. We're going to tell you where we side, what we think about these people. Everything is anonymous. We will not air the restaurant or the city you live in unless it's relevant to the story. And then Chris and I will give our takes as 2 former back and front of house employees. So
What if they say, though, No, say the restaurant. Will we say it or no?
Nah, we won't do that.
We won't do it.
This is more for hospitality industry, and so we want everyone to feel like this is a safe place, so that if you are someone that maybe is thinking out loud, or you're listening to this and you're like, oh, I saw this happen, or I know how not to behave. What it'll also do is be like, Jesus Christ, these fucking people live and exist among us, and it'll make you at least be a little bit more respectful for the hospitality workers and what they have to work in the situations they work in, whatever. Yeah, we will not air restaurant names. It's all anonymous. It's like confession, except less hand jobs.
Nice, Kip.
Thanks.
Do you want me to just read the first one you sent? Is there
Start
a
with the
particular
first
one?
one.
That one's
Yeah.
so gross.
So you can send them you can send them to eve@stoned-appetite.com, or you can send them to us in DMs every week, twice a week. We post on Fridays and Sundays or Mondays, so you can always air those stories right then and there in the question box. Chris, are you watching that Bass Pro video again?
No, I'm just checking out some of these reverse.
Yelps. Give them to us, Eve.
I don't understand.
So they're different stories.
I get that.
Okay. Eve, give us our first story of the day.
This is gross. A group of guys who told me 7-7 when dropping food. I asked what that meant. They said seven of us. I asked what that meant. They said 7 of us would fuck you. Proceeded to tell my loser general manager, who was too big of a bitch to confront the rich Denver Chads. The guys proceeded to grab my ass. Then started taking our hundreds to give to introduce me to their other friends. Mind you, nope, can't say that. Disgusting. I almost said the restaurant.
Nice.
I almost fucking read it.
And so, like, that's the crazy thing
Maybe I
about
should
that
reread
is,
that.
like, there's no place for that sexual harassment in the workplace, but people start to get real comfortable when they think that it's their party. Like, it's not your restaurant, motherfucker.
To expressly say it, too. They just said...
The
7 of us would fuck you. I'd feel also, as a woman, I'd feel very unsafe. 7 men at a table, maybe drunk, even if they're not. I'd feel really unsafe. Like, I wouldn't walk to my car. Legit. I'd be like, what's going to happen here?
Well, I mean, just like, I mean, like, these are just douchebags. Like, straight up, like.
And obviously these are one-offs, but like this is what hospitality workers have to go through. Like we're not good-looking people, Chris. You and I, the fact that we're going to video is not a good idea for our whole persona. But we're not going to ever act like this. But like I can only like you hear stories, and this is one of them. Like you cannot like folks cannot act like this. Like what the absolute fuck all is this? And in Denver.
That's what surprises me is, like, I'm not going to say, like, we're some, like, heroes and some, like...
No, we're terrible people.
You do the minimum, though, of not being a fucking
like,
piece of shit.
You're extraordinary gentlemen, but never in my wildest dreams would I ever say something like that to somebody I know, let alone a stranger. Like, that is just so uncalled for, and, like, it's just fucking gross. Like, what part of you... thinks that would be something cool to say to somebody.
And I think it's that like group mentality. You get like this this false bravado or this like, oh, well, I've got my boys around. Let's see if I can make them laugh. Oh, by the way, this waitress is attractive. Let's like berate her, or even just making this small slight where like just what Eve said, like who's to say one of those drunk fucks aren't sitting outside when you're walking your car at the end of service. Like that's preposterous. And the problem is I feel like that's just a very small example of what they have to go through, especially, and this is in a nice restaurant or whatever, but at the same time, imagine if you're in like a dive bar and you're, like dealing with more interesting clientele. I can only imagine, like if you have this bullshit where you could talk like this and then feel like you can get away with it. There's no place for that. Fuck you.
Especially like I feel like women get the brunt of miss.
100%.
Like,
and they grabbed her. Or we're assuming this is a woman. I'm assuming it is, but they grabbed her ass too. They physically touched her.
Yeah, so I will never experience this, but like I just can't understand men who do this. And also, I gotta say, like, if I was a server at an establishment where this occurred and I went and reported it to my GM, I would expect some course of action to happen. Like, your GM doesn't need to be like,
the customer.
Like, this is not a customer you give a shit about whether or not they return.
You don't want them back.
Exactly. So go up there and you know, I mean, there has to be some course of action. You have to feel supported in that situation.
Yeah.
But, yeah, fuck scumbags.
And I'm sorry to the person that sent that one in. Thank you for sharing with us. We, if this such situation occurs, I would want to know, like, as a coworker, but at the same time, like, letting us know so that we can air. Like, if you're a listener of this, maybe you're just, you know, the Chad that lives at the ballpark lofts, you know, or whatever, and you feel like this behavior is appropriate where you can grope women when they're at work. Like, I absolutely just find you disgusting. And I hope next time that this situation occurs, even if it's not to the same 7 dudes, that someone just gets crow hopped in the face, whether it's the GM or the busboy, because I'd rather go to bat for someone. Like, you want to go, if assault is the thing, you assaulted my waitress, and so I stuck up for her. Like, that should be, you know, like, right. So I apologize to her that didn't happen, and we're obviously speaking in past tense, but holy fucking shit, I didn't think we were going to open this quickly, this hard. I didn't know Eve was going to pick that one first.
That's what I was asking. I was like, okay, it's the first one.
Like, if there was a picture of those fools.
I know. Be like, oh, okay. 7 out of 7 people think y'all are douchebags.
I would imagine you could probably spot that group of guys at the local Federales.
Yeah, I'm sure they shop at that place on Walnut, the hot corner of North Face, Patagonia, and Columbia. That's an intersection of shops on one part of the arts district.
We're sorry that happened, and we hope that never happens again.
Good God, we have some men are the worst.
That's right, and another thing is that's another thing that
Eve, don't look at us like we're the worst too. But yes, we agree. Men are the fucking worst.
But the good thing about this, about people sharing like these terrible instances, is that people need to recognize what hospitality industry deal with on a day-to-day basis. It might make you, that next time you have a bad day and you feel like you want to take it out because like your food was a little late or it took a little bit longer, just remember that these people work hard and they usually have to suck it up when you're being a dick because their jobs depend on not making a scene.
Yeah, I mean, it drives me fucking mad. And I mean, let's at least do one more, but this should be a microcosm of like, remember that like, even if you're like, oh, well, even if I'm just a slight asshole, you're just a tip of the iceberg. There's this many terrible people, so you don't know the battles that other folks are going through. So maybe, you know, if your waitress or waiter is a little disheveled or like off when they come to your table, maybe they just had to deal with 7 fucking pricks right before you. So have a little grace and a little bit of respect for other people when you're going out and dining in establishments. And especially if I see you in a restaurant acting like this, you're never going to hear us side with you. You're just a fucking douchebag. God damn, Eve. I can't believe our first reverse Yelp has got me this mad. It's going to be a long segment. Give me another one.
Had a woman send back her whole trout and have it remade with the head removed, or she would send it back again. Did that make sense?
Yeah, so she didn't want the face and the This is like the woman that complained about Hop Alley's chicken being too spicy when it's like spicy chicken.
Which to remake it, did they just bring it back and just chopped off the head and go here, or did they actually like?
I would hope that they just chopped the head off.
I hope so.
So Chris, so I only did like pizza, casual Italian. If somebody would send this back, I mean, steak would be different. Like, hey, this is over. Obviously, you can't replace that. Right. If something's under, do you put it back on the grill for 2 minutes on either side and bring it back to them at the appropriate temperature? Or do you have to start from scratch and this process? You've worked in a fair amount of restaurants.
I mean, I feel like with the fish situation,
just take it off and move the plate?
Off the head.
Yeah, like what can you do?
Replate it?
You probably cooked a perfectly cooked fish.
What's a perfectly fish?
Yeah, you know what I meant. But this, I'm sure on the menu it said, whole roasted fish or whole grilled fish, meaning the whole fucking fish is coming out. So, yeah, I would imagine they just cut the head off and send it back out. Like, I don't know what other way
be like,
to repair that.
We're going to burn this whole fish because this woman's scared of that eye that also brings you good luck if you eat it, by the way.
But I think following up on that one, the cacio e pepe without the pepe.
It's a funny joke.
I mean, that's just classic.
That's the same camp, is it not?
Yeah.
I mean, we have what's an item that if it came out, even if you asked for it without, like, I would just quiver up in a shell. I'd be like, I'll eat it. You know, like, even if the sandwich has mayo, I'll still eat it, even if I'm not a mayo. Is there something where you're like, outside of an allergy, are you like, no, I fucking find anchovies in a Caesar dressing off-putting. I need one without anchovies in the dressing. What it would be your thing that you would potentially send back?
Well, I would be like that. Well, that's not Caesar dressing.
No, but I mean, we just said cacio pepe sans pepe or whole fish minus the head and collar. Like, what would be something that? Have you ever done that, or have you ever sent anything or seen anything like that?
I don't. I'm trying to think. Like, off the top of my head, I can't think of instances. I've had to deal with some real pricks.
Onions on a pizza was a big thing. Like, oh, this was supposed to be without onions. And whether it was
No, I would just pick them off.
the onion thing is a fickle beast because it does have a little, and people have that
a little
aversion
bit leftover taste or something.
Yeah, and it kind of, and some of them are minced, and I can't remember. This one was more of a mince, not like Supreme Pizza Hut style where they're big chunks of purple.
It depends if I specifically was like no onions, but if I like just didn't read the ingredients right,
like
which happens to me,
pizza.
I'd be like, oh fuck, I forgot there's onions in it. I would just fucking eat it.
Like, I feel like maybe fish or steak, like if it's under, I could simply like hit it for 2 more minutes, you know? Maybe. Fish may be the only instant there. I'll just eat a raw steak. I'm a fucking pussy. I'm not going to sit in back and be like, well, I asked for medium rare plus. I'm not going to do that. Like, if something comes out, I'm like a chicken being raw, I'll be like, all right, we're going to call it here. And I'm going to just be like, I don't need it. Like, I don't need a whole new meal. I'll just see you next time. Like, we'll just try this again. It wasn't our night. That's cool. Like, if I don't have to pay for this meal, that's fine. But don't bring me a whole new, quartered chicken. Like, if it came out under or whatever, I'm just going to be like, it wasn't our night. We'll match up again.
And also, don't wait until the very end.
Oh, yeah, don't eat the whole goddamn meal and be like, you eat half the fish, and it's like, and all the couscous, and you're like, actually, this wasn't the fish I ordered, or this wasn't cooked properly.
Be that person. If you do have a legitimate, issue with your meal, restaurants are more than welcome to hear your concerns. Just don't wait until, after.
I mean, it's 2024, and we're doing, the most basic of decorum and inside of a restaurant. But it fucking sounds like we definitely need it. Eve, we have any more you want to read off?
Do you want me to read more or save them
Do
for
one
next
more.
week? We're at an hour about. So.
All right, let's cut it up short. Before we get out of here, what do we need to recap? Anything else? We do well?
I think we did well. Any other
Please
micro weens we forgot about?
Micro penises was the theme of this episode. From the people at that table at that restaurant to the dude in Bass Pro. It was just micro ween energy. Blah. Those edibles are starting to catch up with me. Micro ween energy. Heavy in this week's
Let's make
reviews.
a trend. Micro ween. Hashtag.
But I think we have another episode coming Thursday. I will be recording from Seattle, Tacoma, Washington. Like I said, I won't be going up there for the game or the parade. I will be going up there to do a little inside. I'm just going to learn about the industry of the hospitality world, see what kind of equipment is being developed for kitchens, and just kind of poke around.
I wish you safe travels, and I hope that a piece of the plane doesn't just fall off in midair.
That's a very good point, Chris. That was something we didn't even get to, but we'll talk about that Thursday, assuming I make it safely. I would sue the absolute dickens off that airline. Emotional stress, PTSD.
Especially if my shirt got sucked off my body. I mean,
for the social embarrassment. You so sue them for that.
I would be so rich.
Had I not been buckled in, that was probably...
That's true. A shirt, yeah.
They said the 2 people that were closest to where the door opened or whatever did not make the flight. And obviously they may not have been sucked out as the third person didn't, but their shirt did.
If I was on a plane where that happened and I was sitting anywhere remotely close to that, I would have to have a huge prescription of Xanax to ever fly again.
I wouldn't go on that airline ever again.
Shout out to Alaskan Airlines.
That makes the planes.
Okay.
But they got to stay up to protocol based off of the airlines.
Cutting corners, which is why.
Fucking capitalism. Yeah. Either way, we're going to talk about all of that and more if I last, if I make it. If I don't, Chris, you better have a good episode for Thursday when I die.
Oh, the podcast will shoot through the roof.
It's going to do absolute numbies. But until next episode, y'all don't forget, stay high, stay hungry.
Micro penis.
Have a safe flight.
Cheers.
Cheers.